Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay. Hoping that this is working. Oh, okay.
It is.
Awesome. Glad to hear that
Alrighty.
this is all good to go. So welcome, everyone. This is the second live session of our Sustainability at Home series. We're super excited today to be doing a Plarn craft. And at the end, you can be sure to post a picture of your finished project with the hashtag sustainability at home. And we're super excited to see what you guys make today. So hi, I'm Ruby. I work at the Sustainability Center at the U of I, and I'm the Reycling Coordinator. And this is my sister, Perry.
Hello.
And she's very experienced in crocheting, and she also does like to work with Plarn in some of her projects. So it's really great that she's here and can help us figure out this craft.
All right.
So yeah, let's get started. We have our supplies here.
Okay. So
First thing you need is a plastic bag. So I have just like a normal Walmart shopping bag that I'll be using for mine.
And I'm not sure where we got this, but it's like green plastic. I just found it, so I thought I'd use that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So for this project that we're doing today, you just need one plastic bag. So any grocery bag really will work, but it's nice to have thin, flexible plastic. So for example, like bread bags is a little too thick. So this type, like a Walmart bag or something, is perfect.
Yeah. And the second required tool that you'll need are a pair of sharp scissors. Well, sharp is preferable,
Yes.
but not necessary, I guess.
Yeah.
It could work with any scissors, but sharp is best. And some optional tools are a crochet hook that Perry has.
Preferably a pretty large one because plastic is thicker than yarn typically.
Mm-hmm. Or you can also have a large needle. This is
It's like a small yarn needle. So it's blunt at the end and the eye is a little bit bigger than normal. It's better for embroidery floss, which is what we'll be using.
Yeah, or some embroidery floss. And these things will come in at the end. And you don't have to have these last three things in order to complete this project.
Yep, just the bag and the scissors. Okay.
So does everyone have their supplies? Are there any questions about this? We're going to be checking the live chat just to make sure everyone's on the same page and everything's going well for you guys. So let us know if you have any questions or if you're set. We'll wait a couple moments for some responses.
Okay, well, oh, there we go.
All right, so Avery's set.
Got it. Let's see.
I think we're gonna go ahead unless, yep, and you can always rewind this video to see anything that you may have missed, or let us know that you might need some help at a step before, and we can help you out. So the next step is to prepare the bag, right?
So, I mean, it's not that detailed, but so Ruby's already kind of flattened her bag, and how you do this is there's
Here, I'll unflatten it.
Okay. So you'd get your bag like this, sort of, and there's like this kind of fold at the bottom on both sides, kind of where you can kind of see the crease or the fold inside right there. So you just put your finger in it and pull on the handle, and it'll straighten it out. You can do that on both sides, and just kind of smooth it out. This bag is a little bit different structure, so I'm just gonna kind of try to figure out how to flatten it the best I can, but it doesn't matter too much.
This is just so that it will be easier to cut. Once you've flattened your bag, you're gonna want to fold it lengthwise.
Yeah, so you need to make sure you fold it lengthwise and have like the handles and the bottom at either end. or else you'll cut it into strips, and that's not what you want. You want to cut it into loops. So it's very important that you fold it the correct way. And mine didn't really flatten that much, but it's totally fine. I'm just gonna kind of fold it. And if you have duller scissors, you won't want to fold this as much, because it won't cut as many layers.
You might just want to fold it once or twice.
Yeah. So the next step is to cut off the handles and the bottom. And I'm not exactly sure how this bag folds very well, so I'm just gonna cut off like about an inch or so. I'm just guessing. Sure. And we have a little bin that we're putting our little bits in because we can recycle them later, and we'll talk more about that. And then cut off the handles like Ruby did.
So you want to make sure you cut off all the handles, right?
Yes. You don't want any little bits. Make it lumpy. Okay. So you're left with this kind of like strip. Sort of. Ruby's folded hers a little bit nicer, but basically a strip. So you want to double check that this edge is folded. There's no open spaces. You want the open spaces to be at the ends. If you get it wrong, I think you'll know.
And you can always start over with another plastic bag if you need to.
So I have a little bit extra. I'm just going to cut it off.
And so then you just cut along the strip, cutting between half an inch and an inch, I think is what we decided.
An inch might be a little bit big. Maybe like between half an inch and 3/4 inch. Doesn't matter exactly. It also depends on how thick your bag is. If you have a thicker bag, you want to cut thinner strips. And if you have a thinner bag, I don't think it gets much thinner than a grocery bag. But the wider the strip, the thicker it will be.
Mm-hmm. So, and it doesn't matter. You should try to make them uniform, but it doesn't matter if they're exactly the same because the plastic is so thin.
So another thing is, if we are only using one bag, the more strips you cut, the longer your string will be, or not string, but the overall piece that you finish. And the thicker or the wider you cut your strips, the shorter it will be. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to cut them too wide because you won't have a long enough project. So,
yeah. Also, I forgot to mention at the beginning, this project has 3 steps. So the first is to make the Plarn, which is what we're working on right now. And this can be used for really any project you want to do with this material. And then today we'll show you how to make little Plarn coasters because they're a really simple thing to start out with. And see how they work very nicely.
Ta-da! So this one is embellished.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And so there's 2 steps to making those coasters. The first is to make the rope by finger knitting, and then we're going to be sewing those together into the shape that we want.
Yeah. You'll see what we mean in a bit. It might be a little confusing.
Yes.
But also I want to point out that Ruby used embroidery floss on this one. I don't know if you can see it very well. To kind of stitch it together, and it also adds like a little bit of extra.
Yeah.
So you can do that if you want.
And also when you get to the end, don't include the piece that has the seam on it. That's not going to be helpful to us at all. So you'll either want to cut it off or just throw away that piece. Mine, if I cut it off, it'll end up being too small. So I'm just going to
I cut off mine in the beginning if you didn't catch that. I can't remember if I said that or not. So you're left with this pile. Mine kind of looks like weird cabbage, but of like loops, sort of. They are loops, but you have to kind of unfurl them and just do this by gently pulling, and you should end up with something like this. Because my bag wasn't folded as neatly, mine have a little bit of kind of like a little chevron going on, but it doesn't matter too much, just as long as they're loops. So
let us know if you guys are ending up with loops, if they're looking good.
Yeah, if you cut it the wrong way, you'll just have strips, and that is not good. You can't really use them. Yeah, so also this bag had gotten stretched at this point right here. And it's a little bit weak because it has been stretched. So what I'm going to do, instead of just throwing it away, is just cut in that part and retie it. And when you're doing this, you want to be careful because you could pull too tight and end up stretching more of it, but I'm just going to pull a nice little knot. And if you want, you can like cut off the ends, but I'm going to do that later. So yeah, if also this happens, you can do this if you have holes in your bag to begin with and you find a strip that has a hole in it, you can just cut through it and retie it. So we're just going to make a pile of strips. And yeah. And if you guys have any questions, now would be a good time as well.
Yeah.
Also, this one ended up a little bit wider, but that's okay. I can still use it.
Mine are looking pretty good so far.
Yes, they are.
In the past, I've had troubles with holes in the bag, and then I've had to tie a lot of them together again.
Yep.
But this one's looking pretty good. I'm excited about that.
And depending on how many loops... Oh, see here. I have a hole in mine. I don't know if this is going to be a concern, but just in case, I'm going to cut it and tie it. And you don't have to, like, look really super duper closely for any holes. It's just better in the long run if you catch them now, because if they break while you're creating your coaster or whatever you want, then that is less fortunate. Kind of hard to fix, but okay. I just have 3 left. Okay, and I think we got it. So next thing we're going to do is loop the loops together to create one strand of Plarn. So how we're going to do this, and I've done this with like hair ponies, for example. Like as a kid, I would just loop them together, and some of you might have done that. So if you know what I mean, you can do that, but we'll show you as well. So to begin with, take 2 and kind of put one through the others. This is kind of hard to see. Kind of like this. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. Ruby's got it. Oh, yeah. Wow, I did it the wrong way. That's why.
And then you take one hand and loop it through the plastic that you're holding in the other hand.
Yes. Okay, so when you're doing this, you're creating a knot. So you want to pull super carefully so that you don't stretch it, and also that your knot isn't super bulky. So once it's almost tight, you want to kind of go to the knot and kind of wiggle it around a little bit and pull it nice and tight like this. It doesn't matter too much. If it's not how you want it, you can undo it and redo it. That's completely fine. But I just find it's easier to kind of, when it's almost tight, go to the knot and make sure it's nice and neat. And then here you have your long one you're going to add to. And I have a new strip, and I'm going to put the old one, oh my gosh, I keep doing it wrong. The new one in the old one.
Yeah.
Jeez. And then just repeat the same thing. And once you have 2 or more, you're going to want to be careful where you put the knot, because you want it to be exactly the opposite of where the previous knot was. If my knot ends up here or something, I'll have this big loop, and it'll be really bulky and hard to work with. So you want to make sure.
Yeah. So what I do to make sure that that happens is I hold on to the knot that I just made, and while I'm gently tugging, and then once it's like almost secure, then I'll just move down the part that I did last time until I'm really close to the knot, and then I'll just pull it gently until it's tight. And that helps make sure it's in the right place.
So we'll just continue.
Also, when I did the last coaster that I made, which is right here, I had lots of knots in mine because the bag was kind of holey. So what I found was that it was helpful to, like, on the new one, to hold where the knot is. So you're kind of like holding 2 knots on each end to make sure it's halfway across from the knot you're making, and then it will be incorporated into the next knot you make. So it will be less visible.
Yeah, so I can do that with this one to kind of demonstrate what you mean. So like this knot's over here. I want this knot in the new one to end up incorporated in this knot. So let's see. I'm actually gonna start. Hold on. It's kind of tricky to get it in the right place, but here we go. I'm gonna make this knot line up with the other ones. Like so. There we go.
So let us know how things are going for you. We'll try to help resolve any issues. This might be a little bit challenging at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. You want to show them what to do if you accidentally get it like to the side?
Oh yeah, sure. So let's see. If you're putting on a new strip and you accidentally kind of create the knot in the wrong, okay. Apparently I can't accidentally do it. Second. There we go. So I've created the knot in the wrong place because this is a previous knot. Here's the new one. Now there's this big loop, and that's going to be really annoying to work with and hard to disguise. So what I'm going to do, it's really hard to see because the plastic is so thin, but you're going to try to undo the knot. Might be a little tricky, but yeah. Basically, there we go. I'm going to try to undo the knot and shift it around until it's at the right place. So now it's all straight.
So I see a comment that there's a tiny bit of confusion, but you're all good. So let us know if there's anything specific that we can help with. I'm glad to hear that you're mostly good. Just let us know if you're still confused at all.
Yeah. It also might be confusing to watch because there's two of us doing it. There's a lot of like plastic everywhere, but hopefully
the plastic isn't too noisy for you guys.
Not sure about that. So also, we're pretty close to done with creating our long strips. So let us know when you guys are done so we can kind of continue.
Also, if you're going to be doing like a bigger Plarn project in the future, you can make you can ball this up like yarn. And Perry has like a really big ball of this in her room.
It's like the size of a basketball. I don't know how it got that big, but yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
You figured it out. Awesome. Okay.
Yay. Glad to hear it.
So, let's see. I'm at the end of mine. Also, while Ruby finishes, and maybe you guys finish, so we're making a coaster, and this uses one bag, but if you want to make a bigger project with multiple bags, some things you could make are like a little basket. I've made a little basket. I did crochet it. I did not finger knit it, but same kind of idea. It was like this big around maybe, and I built up the sides. And I don't know where it went. I think someone may have accidentally thrown it away because I didn't know what it was. But
I remember seeing it, and it looked really cool.
I think I use it for like pencils or something. I don't know. But you can make like little baskets, or you can make like a big basket. I don't know. You could basically make anything you want.
And with the coaster, this can easily be extended into a basket, and we'll explain that more when we get to that step. Yeah, but for today, we're just going to stick with a coaster because a basket takes considerably longer.
Yes. Okay, so I just have all mine in a neat-ish pile on the floor. It's not all tangled, but it's not super great. But
no, you do. Mine's also
okay. But
I'll show you what it looks like.
Ta-da! Plastic. Okay. So, yeah. Are we ready to continue or should we wait? This next step is definitely the most confusing. It's really small, but it's easy to get wrong. So I want to make sure everybody's ready.
We might just do it a couple times to make sure everyone's got it.
Yeah, I can do it first, and then Ruby can do it in a few minutes or so. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start. So you're going to take one end, and you're going to want to leave what's called a tail, which is like excess amount to use to sew things in later, which you're going to need. And I think last time we were experimenting with the length, and we did about 1.5 loops worth.
Yeah, I think so.
And with mine, I had actually a bigger bag than Ruby had, and I had more in the end. So I wish I had done like 2 loops. But I think with this, because my bag was about the same size, I'm gonna do about 1.5 loops. Doesn't really matter. If you run out at the end, you can always cut out more bags, add some more. It's a little complicated.
You could maybe even use the handles to extend your tail if you needed to.
Yeah. So you're going to start with however long you want your tail. And you're going to put the short end. I know it's not that short, but this is the end you're going to create from. And you're going to put it behind your hand. So the short end is behind your hand. And you're going to be looking at your hand while you do this, but I'm going to show this to you.
So I'll demonstrate by looking at my hand, and Perry will show you what it would look like
if you
from your point of view.
Yes. So you have the short end at the back, long end at the front. In between. Oh, also, this is for right-handed people. If you're left-handed, just do the exact same thing on your right hand. So I have this on my left hand, even though I'm right-handed, because I'm going to be working with my right hand. So if you're left-handed, you can just switch, or if you don't care, do it however. I don't know.
You can do it however.
So you're going to take the long end, and you're going to, hold on, I'm forgetting. Yes, I remember. You're going to put it in between, to the back, in between your middle and first finger. So, like you can see with Ruby's, both ends are to the back, and you'll kind of see like sort of a loop in the front of your hand. And you'll still taking the long end. You're going to wrap it around your middle finger to the front. Yep, so now you have a loop around the back of your middle finger. And then you're going to kind of do a figure 8 around those 2 fingers.
So you go in between your fingers, the back of your pointer finger, and then back to the front of your hand.
Yes. And then once again around your middle finger and then to the back of your hand. So,
but first I want to go in between my fingers first, right?
Yes, so like a figure 8 this way.
So just think you're always starting at the back of your finger and then going around.
Yes, you should end up with the strip to the back always when you're done with your step. So if you don't have this, I don't know what happened.
Let us know. So I have 2, from the back, I have 2 loops on my middle finger and 1 on my pointer finger. And then I'm holding what is kind of a loop with my thumb.
So in the very beginning, this is kind of like a fake loop. It's not actually a loop because it's just an end, but we're going to act like it is just for the start. As we keep going, this is going to get easier. This is just to start with creating the first knot, and it's kind of tricky. But from here on out, it's pretty easy. So once you have this, you're going to take the bottom loop on your middle finger, and also kind of keep it a little loose. I might have tightened it a little bit too much, but you can just loosen it up. But you don't want it too loose. But you're going to take the bottom loop, whoopsie, yeah, it is a little tight. Put it over the top of your finger, still leaving this top loop. So you took the bottom, put it over everything. And it looks a little weird right now. It's fine. It'll turn out. Also, Ruby likes to put the loops towards the top of her fingers because her fingers, she just likes it better. I don't know.
Yeah, my fingers don't bend all the way down there very easily.
You can do it however you want. You can kind of figure it out. So the next thing would be to pull the bottom loop from the first finger over the top. But we don't really have a loop. We just have a strip. So we're just going to take this and put it in between our fingers to the back. So now you should have just 2 loops. Also, this yarn, this Plarn, is made up of 2 strands kind of because of the loops. So if you have 2 strands on your finger still, that's good. So you're good.
So let us know if you're having any trouble with this step and we can repeat it. But for now, we're just going to go on and you're going to be just doing another figure 8.
With the long end.
Yes. And so now you're going to be, I have it where I start at the front of my middle finger now. Is that right? And I go around my middle finger?
No, that's not quite right.
Okay, so I should be starting at the back.
Yeah, so you have both strands about the same point at the back. Just, okay, take the long end. You're going to wrap it around the thumb side of your pointer finger to the front. And do a figure 8 around your middle finger and end it in the back in between your fingers. So it's just like zoop, like that.
So Avery, yes, there should be, once you do the initial knot, there should be just 1 loop on each finger, and then we'll be making more knots or more loops on each finger, so that you should have 2, and then you take them off and you have 1, and then you put another on, so you have 2, and then you take them off and you have 1.
Yeah. So this is 2 finger knitting, so it's a little bit different. So once you have done the figure 8 around the top of your finger, so now you have 2 loops on each finger, you're gonna, and always start with the middle finger. Don't start with the pointer finger or else it'll kind of undo itself and it won't be as secure. You're gonna take the bottom loop, put it over the top of your finger, keeping the top loop still on your finger. And then, so yeah, start with the middle finger, then go do the top finger, and then you can kind of like slide them down a little bit if you want. So yeah, you should have that. Okay, Avery's got it. And that was the first row. That's what it's called. We're not counting rows, but that it just is called a row. So the next thing is to do the exact same thing. Around to the front, figure 8, end with it to the back between your fingers. And start with the middle finger, then do the pointer, and then repeat. And it's just like that. It looks really weird right now, but after you do about 5 or 6 rows, it should be good.
Yeah, so I've done about maybe 7 rows, and it's starting to look like a rope, which is exactly what we want.
Yes. So you're just going to continue this till your Plarn is all used up.
Be sure to let us know if you have any questions, if you're running into any difficulties, etc. Also, I find that it's helpful to like tug on the rope a little bit to kind of tighten up my loops after I take them off.
Just don't pull too hard because it can rip.
So Perry, do you want to tell us some of the things that you've made with Plarn?
I don't know if I've made a lot. I started this bigger project that I haven't really finished. It's been going on for a while. I saw somewhere on the internet, I don't exactly remember where, but there was this college student who created Plarn sleeping mats for homeless people. And I thought that was a really good idea. And so I started collecting plastic bags and making Plarn. And I've started one mat. And it's taking a very long time because I'm doing it a double thickness. And I'm crocheting it. But it's a work in progress. Still happening.
There's a considerable amount. And it looks really cool so far.
Thousands of bags. It's a lot of bags.
I think it took more bags than Perry expected at the beginning of the project.
Oh, yeah.
But there's like really cool things that you can do with this material.
Pretty much anything you want, as long as it's safe. So, yeah. Other than that, I made the little basket and probably a few other things that I don't remember.
When I was doing a little bit of research for this project, I saw that someone had made like little sandals out of Plarn, which was really cool.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
It'd be good, like beach shoes.
Mm-hmm. they're washable and they don't really get like soggy. I mean, they would, but they're pretty much waterproof.
Plus, it's a really great way to get an extra use out of one-use plastic bags.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there's a company called Trex that takes these. It's called like film plastics, so like plastic bags, mainly, and they recycle them into outdoor furniture and decking products. So like maybe like a bench, or our deck at our house is actually made out of Trex material.
Yeah.
And it's really durable, and it's really cool that it comes from recycled plastic bags. So that's awesome. Yeah. And you can donate your own recycled or like excess plastic bags to that company. And there's really lots of collection sites by like schools and grocery stores. So in Moscow, the Moscow Charter School collects, and so does Winco. And I think there's a pilot project at the university for collecting these too. And the last I heard, you could find a collection bin in the ISUB at the U of I to donate those. And if you're in Pullman, which Perry and I are, then the new Kamiak Elementary School collects them. Mm-hmm.
So, if you guys have any questions, again, just go ahead and ask. I think I'm about halfway done with mine, I would say.
Me too.
So, almost there.
Also, remember at the end that you can post a picture of your project with the hashtag #sustainability@home, and the Sustainability Center can share that, and we would just love to see what you guys have made.
Yeah, I'm curious what other things you guys can create as well.
Yeah, and also like if you use this technique and make something else, like a basket or whatever your creativity can come up with, then that would be really cool to see as well.
Oops. Made a little mistake. That's okay.
Do you want to tell us what it is so that maybe if we make that mistake we can
I just did the wrong finger first, so it kind of undid a little bit. And I can't show you because I already put it back to how it was, but I kind of just like retightened everything, undid a little bit to get back to a normal spot. I'm not exactly sure how to explain that, but it's all good.
This is a pretty forgiving way to be.
Yeah, even if you like completely mess up and just end up making random knots, it's still gonna work.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And it's also super awesome that you can do this with just your hands.
Yes.
And it's really easy to learn. Mm-hmm. When Perry and I were a lot younger, we learned how to finger knit on 4 fingers.
Yes.
And we would make scarves out of them, but they were actually more like ropes. But we gave them to our mom, and she thought it was nice.
Yeah. Yes. Those are really fun and really quick. I remember, like, if we would watch a movie and be like, I want to finger knit, and I finger knit a scarf while watching a movie because it goes super quick.
Yeah. There's a lot you can do with finger knitting, actually. Yeah. I didn't really know this until I started looking into it a bit more for this project, but you can do like blankets with finger knitting. I don't really know how, but it's out there and it'd be cool to explore.
Yeah. I think that'd be kind of fun. Yeah, if you don't have access to any crochet hooks or knitting needles or anything, this is another option.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty much at the end, so I'm just going to do my last one. And to finish it off, don't just pull it off your fingers and tie a knot. That won't really work. What you're going to do is let me think about this. Yeah, take the loop from your first finger. I'm going to tighten this a little bit. And put it over keeping it on top, but you're going to put it on the top of your middle finger. And do the exact same under, or like bottom loop over top loop thing. And then make sure to keep your loop, but take it off your finger, put the end of the Plarn through the loop, and then this, to be super careful, but kind of tighten it into a knot. And there's like a little loop here, so I'm going to try to loosen it and then retighten it to make it a little bit neater. It doesn't matter too much. Well,
and if you're not at this point yet, I'm not either, so I'll show you again once I get there.
So that's fine. Yep, so this is what I have in the end. I have my tail end. And I'm guessing it's like
a snake.
Yeah, kind of. Like 2.5 or 3 feet, maybe. I don't know.
I would say that's probably at least 3 feet.
If you stretch it a little bit, yeah. I'm pretty bad at it. Well, yeah, around there. So. Oh, Ruby's almost. Oh, Ruby's got it.
Oh, yeah. It snuck up on me. Yeah,
Okay.
So I'm going to I think this will be enough. So I'm going to, there's these 2 loops. I'm left with 2. I'm going to take the one from my pointer finger, right? Is that right? Mm-hmm. Good. And then put it on my middle finger. And then I'm just going to do what we've been doing and take the bottom one over the top. And then I'm left with one little tiny loop. I'm going to take my tail and stick it through that loop.
This is the other tail. Other end.
And it's not really tightening very well for me.
To get right.
So I'm going to just loosen it and then pull on this until it seems to be a good knot. And it's not really pulling anymore.
Okay, so let us know if you guys are having any troubles.
Mine, yeah, it gets better every time I do it. The first time was not neat at all.
That's pretty good still, though. Okay. And go to the next step.
Unless, maybe we can get some feedback and see where everyone's at.
Uh-oh.
Looks like our connection is somewhat unstable, so we're gonna try to figure that out.
I think it's... Oh, there we go.
Looks like it's good now.
Sorry if we cut out.
All right, so maybe you can tell us how you're doing, if you're getting towards the end of your Plarn string, and how that's going for you. And then we can move on to the third step.
So quiet.
So I think there's a little bit of a delay, so sorry if we're quiet after you say something.
Okay.
Kayla's doing great. Awesome.
Scroll down. Oh, no, never mind.
Glad to hear it. Okay, so I think we're going to move on to the third step. And remember, if you're a little bit behind us, that's totally fine. You can always rewind the stream and go to wherever you are. So now we're going to be making this long rope into a little circle disc thing.
So I don't know if you can see. It's pretty well done, but this is basically a spiral using this rope, and we're going to sew it together. So it's nice and flat. Mm-hmm. So that's what we'll be doing in this step. Remember to, so a spiral sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that for this step, I will be demonstrating how to do it with just your fingers, and then Perry's going to be demonstrating a slightly easier way of using a crochet hook.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, you can just use your fingers, which is what I'll show you.
So when you do the spiral, it's you kind of have to do it in little stages, but you're going to want the center of the spiral to be the end that has the long tail. So I have 1.5 loops in mine.
And I do too.
Okay, so you want this end to be in the middle, but you don't want to start it at this end. You want to start it at the end or the start, I guess, of your finger knitting. So I don't know, this is kind of hard to demonstrate. You kind of just have to figure it out. But you kind of just, and I'm going to keep this to the top because I want to have access to it. But I'm just going to kind of wind it around, maybe like 2 or 3 times. Keeping it tight, but not so tight that it buckles, or else it won't be flat. It'll be all lumpy. So I'm just going to wind it around a few times, and because I'm using a crochet hook, I'm gonna kind of keeping it flat. I'm gonna take my hook, I'm gonna place it, so you kind of want to keep track of how many spirals you have, because you want to make sure your hook or your fingers go through every single strand, I guess. Even though these have multiple strands, you want to make sure you go through every one. So I have 3 spirals so far. So I'm going to go through the first one, just picking up a few loops. I don't know if you can see that. And kind of push my hook in through all 3 layers. Doesn't have to be exact. It's not science. So then I'm just going to pull the end through using my hook.
And I noticed you grabbed both pieces of Plarn.
Yes, because it's kind of 2 layers. It's just easier. Even if you grab one, it's fine, but it's a little easier to do. So it's kind of secure at 3 spirals, even though it's not. It's really floppy over here, but I've kind of pinned it, I guess.
And so with that method, you just continue that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go around.
And I'll start to show you the other method.
Yeah. Got it. So just one thing really quick. I had only done about 3 spirals, but I still have a lot left. So as I do maybe, I think probably 5 spirals total around, after I do the 2 more spirals, I'm going to want to catch up with myself. So I've done 2 more. Now I want to pull this end through those 2.
And so for this method, I'm going to be just every time I go around, I'm going to note where my end is. So it's really close to the beginning for this first spiral. And I'm going to pinch that with my fingers and then put my tail through that loop. And I find that if you have a knot in your tail, it's easy to start with that because you can kind of just push it through and it goes through a little nicer than just the loose plastic there. And so then I'll go around again, note where it crosses my tail, pinch that loop, and then feed my tail through it. And then just gonna go around again. And repeat that process. How is yours looking, Perry?
Pretty good. So what I'm doing, oopsie. So I'm just using my hook. I'm going around this way. So what I'm doing is kind of going in a zigzag pattern with my stitching. So I'm going to go this way, then this way, kind of around in a zigzag from the middle out to the sides. So next is right over here. And I'm going to, oh, no, it's not. It's kind of hard to figure out where you're placing